Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Josefa Fawcett. Welcome to JFI Radio Live for July. And this month's broadcast has a slightly different flavour to it because in the past, global news has been part of my JFI live broadcasts, but now it's it's developed a life and a show all of its own. And it's now every month, and the next one is on the 20th of July. So please check out this space. And what's happening now then is this particular broadcast is returning back to what it was where I started almost 11 years ago. Really? Just a window into my working life as a professional development practitioner. But now I've crafted the content anyway, around the themes that matter to me. And this particular sub-brand, and I'll tell you about some of the others later on, but this particular one, LiVE, is all to do with adaptive stewardship. And I'll explain more as each broadcast emerges and you'll start to understand where I'm coming from with this. But it does, of course, give me a wonderful opportunity to just sit and chat with you for 20 plus minutes and share with you some of the exciting things that are happening in the world of professional learning and development. Now, I'm also really excited today because we launched something brand spanking new. It's called JFI Radio Live Africa. But more about that in a short while. So let me get on with the show. You are very welcome wherever you're listening to this around the world. And if you can't catch it live, don't worry, because of course, as you can see from the ticker on the bottom of the screen, the live episodes broadcast on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. The audio versions will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music and Deezer and, oh my gosh, almost everywhere. Almost everywhere. So you can get the audio versions, you can get the video with audio versions as well, and you can watch the replays whenever you have the time to. So what I tend to do with these live shows, and they are live, so please accept that there could be mistakes along the way, and I do have to tell you, there is a fly. There's a fly in this room, and it's driving me crazy, and I couldn't get rid of it before I started the broadcast. So I'm not sure where it is. It could end up on my nose, maybe. It's also incredibly hot. I've shut all the windows to shut out the noise. And I've got an awful lot of water here to see me through. But whatever, we're going to have a great time together, and I hope I can share a few things with you. And I'm going to start off with a bit of a confession. I lost 9 days of my working life in this last month. And it wasn't because I was ill, and it wasn't because I was on holiday, more's the pity. It was because of a broken internet connection. And the time and the effort that it took me to get it fixed. I can't tell you. Well, I will tell you, but there you go. Now, you know, someone like me, I broadcast, I edit, I teach online, I run everything through a website. So this isn't just inconvenient for me. It's my whole operation. It just slows down to a stop. So I managed to get hold of a mini hub, and between the mini hub, 4G mini hub, and my mobile phone, I did hotspotting on both of them, and they both overheated as well. So I was alternating between the two, and hot was definitely the right word, especially in this extreme weather plume that we're having right now. But what this whole episode taught me, or maybe not taught me, it reminded me that adaptive stewardship, which, as I said, is one of the key themes that I'm really excited about in these lives, it's not just theory. You don't just talk about it when things are running smoothly. It's what you do when the tools that you regularly use disappear. So what do? You replan, you reorder your work, which I've had to do, and then you do the things that don't need a connection. So in my case, it's the thinking, it's the scripting, it's the occasional phone calls, the WhatsApp calls. Any kind of measure of adaptive capacity isn't how well you perform when everything's working well. It's what you're left with when it isn't. Now, I've got a great leadership story to tell you that happened as well from this. One of the key things I try to do is I try to find learning from everything that happens to me in my professional life. And in my personal life too, there are sometimes key learning points, and I bring those to the live broadcast as well. So with this, with this problem that I had for 9 days, I finally tracked down the new CEO of Openreach. So the BT company that runs the UK's broadband network is Openreach, and they work together. And I was amazed. I found her on LinkedIn. I not only got a response from her, not one of her team, that came later. I got a response from them as well, but from Katie Milligan herself. So big shout out to Katie Milligan, CEO of Openreach. Now, she only took over the role on the 30th of April, and I basically cried out to her saying, help, I need something to happen, and I need it to happen much faster than it is happening. So she intervened. She got people to do something and to take action, and it was immediate. So as soon as I got hold of her and she did something, I started getting people respond to me. It was like a switch had been turned on. And I told her that we then started chatting on LinkedIn, sort of as you do. And I told her first that I teach on MBA programs online. And she said that she wanted to tell me something to share with my students. And this is what she said. She said, I hope your MBA students, who are the leaders of the future, will be able to drive services in their organizations. That means that the executive leader doesn't need to intervene. Things happen because you have put the right people in the right positions in the right place. And she said, that's where I am trying to get to. Remember, she's only been in the role just over a month, few weeks before that. But then she said something really interesting, and I want to share this with you. She said, but as an overarching piece, the executive leader, so she's talking about directors and particularly someone like herself, a CEO, should always make the time and be ready to intervene where necessary. Let me let that land with you just for a moment. Wow. I mean, what a quote. And yes, I have used it with my students online, and I have been sharing that with them as a real important case study of how to get things done. And just as an update, I managed to get my internet fixed yesterday. Ta-da! And you know what? I can't find the on the dashboard. I can't find it quick enough to find the special effects, but I should have had a yes come through, so I'll have to do that just manually. And I got two engineers. I got a hoist or a cherry picker. They went up the pole, and as it turns out, it was just degradation of a copper line, which they've replaced, and my internet is even faster than it was before. Just shows how I've been struggling with poor internet. They thought it was getting through to me, and sadly it wasn't. what's interesting as I do a segue from that story to the next, and this really is a series of stories that I can share with you. What's interesting next is that standards really need to come back into the fore in all organisations, whether they're public sector, private sector, third sector, anywhere you are in the world. It's worth looking at standards because standards indicate good and effective stewarding. Now, I have got something else worth celebrating with you. I was in London recently at the CPD Standards Office for an absolutely great networking day. Thank you to all of the team. And I came away with my dual accreditation renewed, which I've had with the CPD Standards Office UK for many years. And I've had it aligned with JFI Radio and with JFI Academy learning content. And that means that when I do workshops and training with groups, I can provide CPD hours. And from August, this is a real first. From August, it means that once I launch my podcast Pearls, which are 11-minute mini pods, I can carry CPD hours for listeners too. I can offer those too. So accreditation is, if you like, stewardship in its plainest form. What happens is, if you're interested in doing something like that yourself, someone independent looks at your work and they ask, does this meet an excellent standard? So putting yourself through that voluntarily year after year, that's my choice. It keeps me honest. It keeps the quality of what I produce up to scratch. So those are my first two stories to share with you. Now for that special that I want to share with you. And I want to go over to Port Harcourt in Nigeria. This is where, in the studios, we'll find Nkechi Kalu, my Africa correspondent. Those of you that saw my socials will have met her already, talking about this new JFI Radio Live Africa piece. So let's hope everything works internet-wise.
Here's the news from Africa in July 2026. AI and robotics expands to African schools. The emerging remote work market in Nigeria. Experience gaps and future employability across the continent. Hello, Josepha. Here's the news. The AI and Robotic Youth Training Program, an initiative of the International Telecommunication Union with support from Google, has launched a one-year pilot program to equip young people between the ages of 10 to 18 years with practical skills in AI and robotics. The initiative, supported by Google and the I Am Angel Foundation, will also train their teachers. This will be carried out through AI school clubs, structured teacher training, and national innovation challenges. This pilot program will hold across African countries. 5 of those African countries are Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. Nigeria's business landscape is evolving quickly. Remote work services are becoming a real industry in Nigeria, and emerging businesses are proving that innovation can thrive even in a challenging economy. The Nigeria's next wave of billion-naira businesses may not come from oil or banking alone. They are emerging from AI, digital services, and the creator economy. There is a noticeable rise in Nigerians offering services globally as virtual assistants, customer support specialists, social media managers, data analysts, and software developers. Experience gap remains a major issue in employability in Nigeria and in Africa as a continent. With a teeming youth population graduating from schools each year, and many employers still requiring experience for some entry-level roles, more organizations and institutes are offering internships, boot camps, and industry certifications to help recent graduates gain some practical experience and bridge the gap between academic education and employability. And that is it from the African continent. My name is Nkechi, JFI Africa Radio correspondent from Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Oh my goodness, Nkechi, congratulations. That was your very first news report from Africa. And Nkechi will be joining us each and every month, bringing us something new from the emerging talents across the continent. I'm so pleased. It's a fabulous feature. And I'll be bringing you some other features a bit later on in the year. I've got JFI Radio live futures coming up and live patterns, but I'm not going to tell you any more about those just at the moment because they are just in production right now and it's going to be so exciting. So JFI live broadcasts are just taking on a completely different flavor, but they will always have a series of stories because I love telling stories and I love the people that I meet in various places because they always leave me with something really exciting to share with others that I use either in the podcasting or in some of my teaching as well. So, as I mentioned before, I started JFI Radio 11 years ago in 2015. And in those days, I was traveling all around the world running executive leadership conferences. I was producing other kinds of online content and I was doing training and global corporate training sessions as well. So many different things. And during those travels, I had lots of key learning. And in those days, when I first started, I was doing lives all the time, very much like the Facebook lives that emerged a few years after 2015. I was doing the lives from all the different countries that I went to. And there was always a key learning point that came from them. But they were all based around stories, which I love. So here's my real story for this month. And it's about Barcelona. Now, I went out to celebrate the 2026 graduation with my faculty tribe at GBSB Global Business School. Hi, tribe! And we had the celebration in the amazing Museo Maritim de Barcelona. It was superb. We were there last year, we were there this year. I absolutely love it. And it was so much better this year because yes, there was a heat wave, but they got the air conditioning right this time. It was lovely. And there's nothing quite like watching students walk across that stage, knowing the amount of work that they had to put in to get them there. Now, this is just a small fashion note for the ladies that are listening to this broadcast. I usually sit front row facing the stage, so I have an eyeline view of all the most beautiful shoes that the ladies wear as they travel past me. The height of the shoes, the sparkle, the colours, I love them even though I can't wear that kind of heel anymore. And if I did, I'm sure I wouldn't even be able to walk across the stage. But of course, I have the most beautiful view. And ladies, you have some of the most gorgeous shoes. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to one of my faculty colleagues, Bainush. Bainush, I love your shoes every year. You find something really sparkly to wear, and they were gorgeous this year. Now, while I was in Barca, I arrived the day before, I sat down with microphones, lighting, and cameras, of course, to record a podcast. And that was with the head of the institution, the GBSB Global Business School Institution, Dr. Victor Patena, and the head of studies and academic operations, Dr. Hind Narman. And we talked about GBSB Global, the PhD program, and about Innovision, the conference that's coming in November. And I will be officially podcasting for them at that conference on location. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I'm hoping November in Madrid might be a little bit cooler than June in Barcelona, I have to say. Of course, my teaching continues. I carry on, and some of my students that are on the summer MBA module online may well be listening to this, because I told them it was going to happen, and I'll post the recording in our VLE. I've got 2 cohorts, and I think because I'm teaching, guess what? Surprise, surprise. Leadership, human resources, and organisation. I think all of this is going to come in really handy for them in between the stories. You know, for me, this is what stewardship of the next generation looks like. You teach them, you celebrate their successes, and then you hand the future over and let them get on with it. And hopefully some of the things that you have shared with them and taught them, you really hope that they will be able to bring it to fruition. You see, and I said to my MBA students yesterday when we had a live class, I said, if you can't change things, who can? Now, I'm old enough to know some of the things we were talking about happen to be around stress and burnout and the way executive leadership operates in some organizations. And some of the stories they told me were, and I'm saying, hold on a minute, that's behavior from like 30 years ago. Are you telling me nothing's changed? And unfortunately, nothing changed. I said, well, if that's the case, then you doing the MBA is even more important, because it's you that's actually going to change things. You can't just learn about it, get your degree, walk across the stage with your beautiful shoes and get the certificate and then go back and do nothing. But change is hard. Changing ingrained attitudes are really hard. So I left them with that thought. And finally, nearly at the end, I can't believe how quickly our time goes on this. I'm just looking down to see if I'm live on the socials. I am. I'm live on LinkedIn, and I'm live on Facebook, and I'm live on YouTube as well. And you can always engage with me if you want to. All you have to do, you can't do it on LinkedIn because they haven't got the system set up properly yet, but you can do it on Facebook and YouTube, and you can, while I'm live with you now, you can type something in and I can have it pop up on the screen. So if you do want to say something, please do. I'd be happy to hear you. So just always checking to make sure everything is working. And I'm also checking that my microphone is on. Do you know what? Rookie error last month. I clicked something inadvertently and I did the first half of the show with no sound. That is really not a good look. And so I suppose finally, that's the bit that I want to share with you. You know, those of you that know me personally know how much I value voice. I really do. Now, before I tell you anything else, I think there is somebody in my live chat. Oh my goodness, hi, the HR boss lady, Nkechi, you've come back out of the studio and now you're listening to me. You had to focus on the studio and what you were saying first regarding the news, and now you've come back to me and you can listen properly. I'm so pleased, and thank you for that fantastic news report. I am so pleased that you did that, and I'm pleased that once you'd put the microphone down you were able to come back and listen as well. So, as I was saying, you know how much I value voice. And I really want to emphasize the fact that organizations need to enable the quieter voices to be heard, not just those that are loudest and boldest. Now, I was up in the University of Leeds delivering a podcasting workshop for the faculty in their Helix facility. So big shout out to those of you up there in the University of Leeds. That Helix facility, oh my goodness, I was like a child in a sweetie shop. I absolutely loved it. It's their learning innovation hub. They've got proper production studios, podcasting rooms. They've got microphones like you've never seen microphones. They've got a VR setup. Oh, you know, I could, if I didn't have to work, I'd spend my time up there. And luckily enough, I'm going back up there again in October. I was doing this podcasting workshop with their faculty to look at how you can use podcasting in lots of innovative ways within curriculum design and within assessment. And just watching academics find their broadcasting voice, because they all had a chance to go on to various microphones and make recordings that they could then take away with them and listen to themselves. And yes, I know some people absolutely hate listening to their own voice, but you sort of need to get used to it if you're going to do any podcasting of any sort, any broadcasting of that matter. So watching them find their broadcasting voice, it never gets old, it never gets tired for me. I love to watch it. I've also been doing some editing, and it's one of my favorite things to do. But before you think it or say it, no. I know I can do it with AI, but I choose not to. I choose to do it manually because I actually enjoy it. And there are some things that you can do with the editing of a piece, particularly if it needs to be high quality and not this live where I can make mistakes and things and do the sharp intake of breath, or, as I'm going to do now, quick swig of water. If you're doing another kind of podcast and you need it to be almost perfect, then obviously you need to edit it. And you can do so much with AI. You could do all the editing, but I just enjoy sitting for hours on end with the headphones on doing the editing. And I produce bespoke podcasts for some of my clients for their events, their conferences, and my last major one was with ICDE in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And you can listen to them if you want to find out more about ICDE on their website. Then just go to icde.org and you can find out everything that they do. And I've been with them and been a member for many years, and now I podcast with them at their events all over the world, and it's the most wonderful experience, and I meet some fabulous people. So as you can tell, JFI Radio has evolved from just being once a month live broadcast into a series of different sub-brands. There's this live, which is really, it's just monthly stories about professional development and learning that I've experienced. There's the global news, I told you, that's created a life of its own, just about what's happening all around the world in terms of professional development across 6 global regions. Then I do the bespoke, as I mentioned before, event podcasting around the world. Coming up this year, I've got Dubai, I've got Athens, and I've got Madrid. Really exciting stuff. And coming fast on the back foot of that is a brand new sub-brand. You see, now if I was editing this, I'd edit that out. So I'd just say a new sub-brand called in ... conversations. And these are seasonal.